Welcome back. So you have determined your explicit learning targets. And now we need to be thinking about the levels of thinking that our students are doing. And this is important because when we can determine the levels of thinking, that helps us understand how we want to scaffold teaching to that standard. That helps us understand how we want to assess that standard. So there are some tools that I have given you that can be really helpful when it comes to determining the levels of thinking. And the tool that I really recommend that you're going to want to print off is I'm going to share it really quick so you can see it, is the cognitive rigor matrix. And these cognitive rigor matrices are what they use at DESE when they write high stakes assessments for the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. So let's go back to our unpacked standard document, and we hadn't done this yet. So this is where we're almost done with this part of the document. So when we look at identifying merging on limited highways at speeds, access highways at speeds of 55 miles per hour, identifying is a very low level of rigor. And so I know that because I was looking through my cognitive rigor matrix. So when I see the word identify right now, it's a 1. Okay, so they just need to be able to name it, to see it, to find it, either recall it or recognize, right? So identifying speed control, that would be a 1. Identifying lane selection, another 1. Identify existing situations, that's a 1. Now it gets trickier because they actually have to comply. So they have to apply that identification knowledge in a real life situation. Much different level of rigor. Application in real world relevant situations automatically increases the rigor. So when we think about students will be complying with merging, there's going to be some things when I think about merging that are going to be happening. So we'll get deeper into this when we break down our implicit learning targets, like know, understand, be able to do. And when I look at that, they need to be able to synthesize information. They need to be able to infer, use their background knowledge, be able to assess what the situation looks like. So we're going to be looking at a level of thinking of 3. They need to comply with speed control. So they need to apply that. Well, when I think about this one, this is, they're going to be, it's a little higher than that level of thinking of a 1 of just recall. They need to, but there'll be more applying that skill and that concept. So that's going to be a 2. When they need to comply with lane selection, which lane they should be in, they're going to be taking in lots of information and synthesizing lots of information at that time in a real situation. So we'll be looking at more like a 3, and comply with existing situations. So they need to understand what it means to merge at a really high level while they're taking in that existing situation. So that would be a 3. And so I spend some time studying this cognitive rigor matrix, and then help me decide which level of rigor, D, okay, 1, 2, 3, or 4, that each of these explicit targets, these explicit learning targets fall into. So now what I want you to do is print off that cognitive rigor matrix. I want you to go back to your unpack standard, and it's time for you to apply this now too. Off you go.